Suppliers are a stakeholder we often don't think about when given a question, but it's someone or a group that we do need to think about. So all these stakeholders in the environment and the business, well, this is one just like any other. What are we talking about? Well, suppliers provide the business with the materials, components, and products which they then sell to customers. So here's a business, so we could say Apple. They sell to us as customers. Well, obviously Apple gets its stuff from suppliers. So that iPhone you get didn't just sort of get made out of thin air. Okay, so you got these people who line up to get the iPhone and stuff. Well, that took a lot of work. There's so many parts in an iPhone, and they don't all come from the one supplier. There's probably going to be hundreds of thousands. So some of the, or for Apple anyway, for Apple, some of the suppliers are Foxconn, LG. So you go, hang on, isn't LG a competitor? I think LG provides the screens. I'm not sure if you knew that. The processing, I think they're changing this and going to an Apple one, but it's actually made by Intel. Sony provides some of the audio and so on. Yeah, believe it or not, they actually get some things from Samsung too, who's their biggest rival. Samsung is a supplier of Apple. So if you go onto the Apple website, you can actually go and get a supply list. It just says their top 200, right? But I think if you look at this document here, this is a list of all their suppliers. It goes to 30 something pages. There are hundreds and thousands, in the tens of thousands of suppliers for Apple, and each one provides something different, and each little bit goes into making the products that we buy. Okay, so that's just the top 200. But let's summarize this and say, well, as a group then, what are the direct or vested interests of these suppliers in the business? So it is to ensure the business and their customers are profitable and can pay its bills. When you think about it, the customer in this case is the business. Suppliers sell the business the stuff to make their products. So they want to make sure the business is profitable. If the business is profitable, that's good for the supplier. What else? They want to be paid promptly, not only to have the business pay, but not have to wait 5 years and try and hunt it down. They want the business to do well so they can get paid on time. They also might want to establish what's called a mutually beneficial relationship that benefits both parties. For example, if you made screens for smartphones, you would do very well if you could lock Apple into a mutually beneficial relationship that says we are the preferred supplier of all screens for Apple. That'd be a really big thing. What else? You want to become a preferred supplier, and that's a similar thing. It's where, say, Apple, when they do buy, say, the plastic for the casing of the phone, there's maybe 3 businesses that provide the plastic, and they are what's called preferred suppliers. You'd love that as a supplier. However, there are also some corporate social responsibility issues that suppliers have with regard to the business, and they could be such as the supplier needs to engage in ethical behavior. If they don't, Apple won't use them, and that's where the Foxconn thing became an issue. We'll talk about that during the year, the Foxconn. If you don't know what we're talking about, just go to YouTube, type Apple Foxconn, but we'll talk about it. Okay, if the supplier is not ethical, then Apple is not going to be happy, or any business. But also it works the other way. Apple or any other business needs to treat its suppliers in an ethical way. So Foxconn got Apple in a lot of trouble, but when you think about it, Apple's always putting pressure on businesses to lower prices so the smartphone can be sold at a good price. Well, that then creates pressure on your suppliers. So you've got to treat them ethically too. So it's a two-way street, and you need to be aware that, yeah, not just does the supplier need to be ethical, but the business needs to treat its suppliers ethically too.